Good rising, grand rising tribe SRC. I am Manala D, your host, and we are excited to bring you the sixth episode of the Power of Human Connectivity. We thank our SRC Mastermind contributors for being here again with us today. And as always, we thank our audience for sharing your energy with us. Now, SRC loves it when our audience participates. So we ask you, if you have a question, raise your hand, have a statement, raise your hand, unmute your mic, and join in the conversation regarding the topic on the table. Now, we already know what time it is because we go through this every week. And what I'm about to say is very important. So I want you right now to take a moment and send to your friends and family the link that you use to connect to this live broadcast, because you already know it's going to be good. So let's get started. Now, today, before we start to unpack our topic for today, I want us to keep this scripture in mind. And it is Philippians 3:13. And it says, "Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth for those things which are before me." And that's a fitting scripture because today our topic is keys to manifesting reality. And to kickstart this conversation, we have master numerologist, Brother Lavelle Rouser, and he will share the art of manifesting your reality. And he's going to do this for the months of March and April, but the information that he is going to provide today, you can use throughout the entire year. And if you know Brother Rouser, you will walk away being abundantly pleased with his unpacking of this subject. Now, as Brother Rouser prepares to share, we want to welcome him with this question. Do humans possess the power needed to create the reality they choose? And if so, looking through the lens of numerology, Brother Rouser, what must they do? Let us together welcome Brother Lavelle Rouser this morning.
Well, thank you, everyone. Greetings to you all. Gee, that was a great lead-in, Anala. But I came prepared to talk about and to answer the questions based on the significance of the numerology or the science of numerology that we are currently experiencing right now in the year of 2022. And if you know anything about numerology, you know that every season or every year or every cycle, we all go through a particular change. And this particular change is based on the numbers. And these numbers have a deep significance, especially when it comes to unraveling the mysteries of life itself. And our ancestors left this for us so that it would be as a point of reference and also for guidance as we continue to develop ourselves and elevate ourselves in our spirit, our mind, our emotions, our consciousness. Now, being specific, this year has the vibration of the number 6. And the number 6 is based upon the calendar or the Gregorian calendar. And this Gregorian calendar of 2022, we simply take the numbers that we see there and we add them together. So you have a 2, a 0, a 2, and a 2 again. And you add those numbers together and they reduce to the number 6. So 6 is what we call the universal year vibration for the calendar year of 2022. The number 6 is about love. The number 6 is about family. It's about hope. It's about bringing people together. It's about making sure that your health is in order. And that's something that I really want to emphasize to everyone. Do be sure to make sure that your health is on a level that will sustain you through all that each and every one of us are going through, and all of us are going through collectively as we continue to grow and elevate in this world. So the number 6 is known as the mother of all numbers, because we know that the Great Mother, or the Great Mother Supreme, is responsible for all of us being here. The first person on this planet is a woman, and we all come from women, and men must understand this about that, so we can better elevate and keep our women where they are supposed to be in life, because in truth, none of us would be here without them. So the number 6 is a vibration that's heavily concentrated with a great deal of emotional energy. But the greatest of these emotional energy is the love that you have for yourself. So therefore, you can have the love for other people. Now, to be more specific, what's going on with us right now in the month of March 2022? Well, in the month of March 2022, that represents what we call a monthly cycle, or a universal month cycle. We know that the year is the number 6, okay? Now we take the calendar month number, which is the 3rd month, so it has a value of the number 3. And we add the 6 to the 3, or the 3 to the 6, and reduce those numbers, and it equals to the number 9. So during this month of March, we are in a number 9, what we call a universal year cycle, or a universal year period, which is affecting each and every one of us. The great thing about numerology, it is affecting all of us, whether we realize it or not, or know it or not, because we're responsive to all of the vibrations which are coming forth from the heavens and from nature itself. And so the number 9 represents a time for us to bring into finality, or into completion, those things that we need to rid or to get rid of out of our lives. When we have a tendency to hold on to things that no longer serve us, or we need to let go of, this number 9 vibration can become like a contaminant. It can be like a poison. It can shut your emotions down. It can even shut your bodily functions down if we hold on to it far too long. So everyone, if there's something that you need to get rid of, be it a person, place, or thing, if it's a job that's wearing you out, that's causing you poor health, you may want to look at considering letting that job go. The number 9 also helps us to overcome our fears. Whatever fears that we have are going to show up during this number 9 period, and we're going to have to work with them and to reckon and reason with those fears in a way which can be very emotional, because the number 9, like the number 6, is a very emotional vibration. And so we're dealing with a double dose of emotional energy right now, from the year and then also from this month. So that in a capsule tells us about what's going on with ourselves individually and collectively with the number 9. Now, the next month that I will talk about will be the month of April. Well, we know that the month of April is the 4th month of the calendar year. So it has a value of the number 4. And we know that the year is the number 6. So we simply add the 6 and the 4, or the 4 and the 6 together. 4 plus 6 equals 10. Now this is interesting because 10 is what we call a compound number. A compound number are all numbers which are beyond 9. Because in numerology, and actually all throughout life, there are only 9 numbers. Everything after 9 is a combination of the first 9 numbers. So the number 10, we simply take that in numerology and we reduce it. 1 plus the 0 equals 1. So in April, this will be a new beginning. This will represent new opportunities, but it also will represent new challenges. This is a month to make progress. This is not a time to sit back and do nothing. The worst thing that each and all of us can do at this time is to procrastinate as to what's going on with ourselves. This is a time for you to see into life with a clear outlook, with a very positive outlook. The number one is a vibration of success. So opportunity and success are beckoning us, is looking at us, is staring us in the face. But we have to be unafraid. We have to be fearless. We need to be bold and to take some action as to what we want to happen. This is a time that we can manifest, as Anala has spoken of, that we can determine and self-determine what it is that we want to do. When you begin something on the number one, it follows you for a very, very long time. When you don't do something with the number one, it also follows you for a very, very long time. And we often wonder, why can't I do this or why can't I do that? Well, when the opportunity was presented to you, did you acquiesce? Did you adhere? Did you follow through? Did you acknowledge? So one is the number which gives us a new breath of air into life. So breathe deeply, be passionate, be loving, be considerate of yourself and also for others, but also keep in mind in the month of April, this is an opportunity, a great opportunity for you to do things that you may have not had the opportunity to do before. And that is what is beckoning and calling upon us all. There's no mystery behind the science of numerology when you begin to understand the basic rudiments and functions in numerology, and you can begin to see how it is working and developing in our life. We know from Genesis that the world was created in 6 days, and on the seventh we rested. And we know that Genesis has to do with a beginning, and that's the number one. So is there something that you want to begin? Make that your Genesis in March, okay? And so that will complete this short but brief synopsis of the vibrations that we are dealing with for the present month of March, which is the number 9, and for the month of April, next month in 2022. And I'd like to thank you all.
Thank you so much for that, Brother Rouser. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We needed that information. So now let's go, let us unpack some of the things that Brother Rouser has mentioned. He talked about March and what we needed to do. And we talked about April being the beginning is number 1. And one thing that I do know is that when you talk about beginnings, because I remember when I went through, when I was, I like to call it in camp, was going through all of that, it was May that I was finally released from all that. So it doesn't even matter what your past has been, because in April, that's when I was in heavy meditation. I had focused my mind on what it is that I wanted so that I could manifest it in my world, so that I could have that reality. So what you're saying, and if I'm understanding what Brother Rouser is saying, it's no time to sit back right now and just think, well, I brought all this, I got all this stuff that's behind me. Because remember the scripture this morning, forgetting those things that are behind you. And this is so powerful what we're talking about today, because if we forget about those things behind us and we're starting to meditate and focus on those things that we want in our future, this is the month to do it. And it doesn't matter what it is. We got to remember that we're all connected to each other. And that's the one thing that I learned when I was in captivity. And that is, I'm connected to the judge. I'm connected to the DA. I'm connected to all those people. So I started talking to them spiritually and letting them know, having a conversation about that thing that I wanted. And so guess what? In May is on the date that I was released. So what Brother Rouser is saying is absolutely correct. This is the time for love, hope, and all those things. So let's dig down into, we see even in our world right now, there doesn't seem to be a lot of love. It doesn't seem to be a lot of hope when you look at the wars and all those kinds of things. So when you see that, how do we look past those things and not have that experience, Brother Rouser? How do we not keep that experience within us? And, because when you look at the wars, you look at the people not loving each other and all those other things, how do we not hold on to that experience? Because I know that a lot of people, even on right now, are probably experiencing some type of feelings because of what they're seeing in the world. So how do we get past that?
Well, because of the cycle that we're in right now, many people are dealing with fears because of what has been projected into the world, which has an effect on our consciousness. The number 6 vibration has a lot to do with our psyche. And what I mean by that, our psyche involves our emotions, our feelings, our mentality, the way that we have what kind of view that we have consistently throughout life. And so what has happened, and that has been adversely polluted. And we have to spend less time watching that crazy box, which is called the TV, and even other broadcast media, which is controlled by people who have no interest in the common man of today, common man and common woman. And so it's important that you develop an appreciation for yourself so that you can have an appreciation for others and begin to develop a greater outlook and purview as to what is really needed in our society. And we need to have a very strong injection of love emanating from our heart. Okay, many people's emotional centers, meaning their heart, is shut down because of all that they have gone through. But people have to be lifted back up, and people can be lifted back up individual by individual, people helping one another. When you see someone that you know that is going through tough times, call them, give them a word, say something to them, be very positive and be very sincere. The lack of sincerity out here is causing us a great deal of harm.
Wow.
And when we lack this sincerity, we're losing a great deal in terms of the essence of who we are as people on this planet. We came here in a commonality. And that commonality, and I'll say this and I'll continue to say this, is that we all are breathing the same air. And we know that air, spiritually speaking, represents the mind of God.
That's right. That's exactly right. And we're talking about human connectivity. We're talking about keys to manifesting reality. I know that you had to hear that Brother Rouser mentioned 2 keys. Number 1, be self-aware. Appreciate yourself, because when you're appreciating yourself, number 1, think about it, you're appreciating the God within you, right? And then the other one he mentioned is love. Love is the love is the key that opens every door. And if you don't, and we all connected. So with loving, then guess what? The things that's going on in the world, it only takes a certain amount of people, a number of people, to change what we see in this world. Because I believe that we can choose our reality. We can choose it. And if enough of us start to choose the reality that we want to see versus choosing hate, not loving ourselves, which means you're not loving the God within you, you're going to see a difference in the world. So those are some keys right now. So Sister Kina, what are another key of manifesting our reality? Well, give us another key.
Oh, another key of manifest. Grand Rising, everyone. Oh, this is, by the way, one of my absolute favorite subjects. For me, another key to manifestation is consistency, is correcting myself. Those moments where I allow myself to be pulled into a negative thought or to give a negative thought too much of my attention. I have to correct. You have to always bring that balance. And that's one of the ways that I interpret what's going on in the world today with the wars and and all these things regarding health and human connectivity. So many people are being programmed to be separate and to fear one another. So I see that, or I interpret that happening as everything coming back to balance. It's like love. For me, I see it as love pushing through. You know, the appearance of the increase of hate, I see that as love pushing through, and it's balance is near, balance. We are in the midst of a great shift. Today is spring equinox. So today is a very significant day. To be having this conversation on this day is beyond what I think we all can even actualize right now. And again, that's my favorite word. I'm excited about this conversation.
Great. And we have a hand up with Kateria. Let's let Kateria jump in, and then we want to go back, and I want to break down a little bit more what you said, Sister Kina, on consistency. Kateria, you have the floor.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Okay. I think a lot of people do not focus on themselves. You know how everybody always got to input on somebody else's life, that it causes conflict with other people. It's a negative thing. People don't worry about themselves a lot. So I think people need to worry about their own lives too, but I think it's a great idea with thinking positive and stuff.
Absolutely. Did you finish your thought?
Yeah, I just think my main thing is people do not focus on themselves. Like, they always worry about, like, social media. Everybody got to input on somebody else's life and what's negative, but they're doing the same thing.
That's absolutely right. So when you think about going back to what you just said, Sister Kateria, which is my granddaughter, by the way, guys.
Hi.
When you think about that, and then going back to talk about what Sister Kina just mentioned, consistency. So now it's not enough just to say what you're going to do. You have to be consistent in that thing that you say you're going to do or be, because today I'm thinking great thoughts, I'm positive. Then I go out and I get in my car and I drive, and somebody hit the brakes in front of me. First thing I do is go off on them. And we remember, guys, we are connected. So that energy that you just put out there is going to vibrate all the way through. Somebody else beside you may do the same thing to someone else. And that's how it keeps building. Consistency, as you mentioned, Sister Kina, is one of the keys. Being consistent in that thought, being consistent in that focus. You go back to the magnifying glass again. Archie, our brother, Pastor Archie, I remember when you were little, you had that magnifying glass, and you take them little ants. It might not, whatever you had that magnifying glass on, it may not have affected it within the first 3 minutes, but you would hold that glass there till it affected whatever you had that magnifying glass on. So therefore, it's the same thing in life. We must be consistent. Pastor Archie, did you want to chime in on that? Did you have a remark about that? The consistency?
Yeah, Grand Rising, top of the morning. Yeah, it could go both ways. I'm thinking about Sister Tanisha last week was talking about the darkness, saying that, like, if we focus too much, and we're too much focused on like jumping in and actually judging people, we ought to be able to see that. If we are always procrastinating, that I fight Mr. P all the time, trying to stay away from procrastinating. But if down through the whole year we found that we procrastinated more than we have actually went forth and done the things that we say we want to do, now we ought to be able to see that. Hey, wait a minute, I'm consistent, because some people say, I'm consistent, or I'll say, I'm going steady with what I'm doing, but if what I'm doing is not causing me to progress into the thing that I keep saying that I'm going to progress in, then I need to make a change there, like Brother Ross was saying. April, I was thinking about that. Hey, I need to make sure that I'm consistent in going forth and not consistent in procrastinating.
That's right. Because you think about it, some people are consistent. Well, I'm not going to talk about people. I'm going to talk about me. I used to be consistent in looking back at those things that hurt me. In fact, when you think about that scripture and it says apprehended, what I was doing is I held captive those things that were in the past, holding on to all the hurts, just waddling around and swimming in all the hurts. But yet I'm saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But guess what? When you stuck in muck, I don't know if you ever been stuck in muck before, mud. I have. I mean, it wasn't quicksand, but it felt like it. I mean, you couldn't get your shoe out. You had to, I had to, in fact, take my shoe off to be able to move. When you're stuck in the mud, you're stuck in the mud. And the only way to get out is you gotta take off some things so that you can move and go forward. And then once you go forward, you don't want to keep looking back at those things, because when you look back at those things, then you're focusing on the things that you don't want, right? So consistency, I think, is another key that we really want to think about. Go ahead, Sister Akina.
Yes, and let me share the reason I say that. It's because I'm talking about myself. Everything that I share it's me opening up my experience with others, which is, you know, what I believe I'm called to do. It's a part of my purpose. And I say consistency because that's where I am. I am learning to be consistent. I'm learning to not procrastinate. I'm learning to, another one is discipline, self-discipline, you know, and that's just across the board. I mean, I'm at a place in my personal life where I have some of the knowledge, I have some of the wisdom, I've learned a lot. I've been privileged and honored to be in the presence of people like you guys, masterminds, who I learned so much from. I consider myself a forever student. You know, people say, oh, I love when you teach, and I kind of cringe at that word because, one, I'm not big on titles, and I don't need to be in a place to, you know, I'm just like you, you know, we're all the same, you know, we're all students. So that's something that I'm personally learning to apply to my life, is consistency and discipline, you know, because again, that's just where I am personally. I just wanted to share that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So now we're still, for those of you who have just joined us, we are talking about this morning, our topic is keys to manifesting reality. So Brother Rouser, would you tell us, or give us a little bit more, some more targets, some more areas that we need to think about, what we need to do as it relates to manifesting our reality? What are some more steps? What are some other things that we need to think about?
Okay, well, there's a time in the season under the sun. And so when it's time to end something, it's time to end something, okay? And it's best not to try to start something new when it's time to end something before you start that new situation. A perfect example is, we're all human. People will start a new relationship with someone and they haven't ended the previous one, okay? And I see that all the time, and people begin to wonder, why is their life in such a state of chaos and confusion? Well, you haven't satisfied the obligation that you initially had with the first person, and then you're trying to start a new obligation with another person or a second person. And so what happens is that you have a lot of chaos, a lot of emotions, a lot of mixed feelings, and things don't pan out, they don't work. So in an effort to be successful in life, make sure that you have covered each and everything that you have obligated yourself to, be it person, place, or thing. And when you do that, you'll find that when the opportunity comes knocking, you will have that freedom and you'll have that ability to pursue it and to move on and to make the kind of progress that you want to. But right now, so many of our lives are such convoluted because the things that we may have needed to end 9, 10, 15, 20, sometimes 27 years ago hasn't been dealt with. And a lot of it can deal with emotions. You know, we tend to hold on. We may have ended the relationship with someone, but the emotions are still there 5, 10, 15, 27 years ago. And we're still harboring feelings which we have not released, okay? And since we have not released, those feelings are imprisoning ourselves.
Wow.
And it's so like what the young lady said before, we are not focusing enough on ourselves.
Absolutely.
And
So that's another
next,
key there.
yeah, and
That's another key.
right. And next month will be a very good month for all of us to focus on ourselves, to learn to see ourselves exactly who we are and not what we think we are.
I love that. So that's another key, guys, and that key that that Brother Rouser just mentioned was to, number one, get in tune with your emotions. Number one, because your emotions is what manifests things in the world, and then and then also making sure that you deal with organizing. Don't bring something into this new relationship that you or into this newness. You know, there's a time for everything, and sometimes you need to cut things out. That's what we just talked about a few minutes ago. So you got to lose some things to be able to move forward, and then organize yourself and complete some things before you try to move on to the next thing. So those are keys, guys. These are keys that will help you manifest the reality that you want. Pastor Archie, I see that your hand is up, and also Kateri, I see that your hand is still up.
Wow.
Back to you.
Look, Bro Rouse, he hit that right on the head. He hit it on the head because I was talking to a young lady about a month ago, and I was telling her about a situation. He said, "Oh, you're in your feelings. You need to get out of your feelings. Get out of your feelings, and you can see the situation better than what you see it." So I have to remember what I've learned, for one thing. Now, that's one thing you could look back on and remember. I think remembrance is very important because, see, if I don't remember, I was just thinking the other day, okay, I said, I'm going to make sure when January 2023 come in, I'm going to be fluent in reading music on my bass. I can play by ear, but I said I'm going to fluently be able to read music. Next year, I didn't want to make a New Year's resolution, but now I have to remember what I've said I'm gonna do, and that will help me to stick to my program that I have to go forth and do what it is that I said I'm going to do. So remembrance is very important, and not just because I don't feel like doing it today. I have to remember what I said I'm going to do and stick to what it is that I said I'm gonna do. I think that will help me to fight the procrastination that comes about remembering exactly what you are going to stick to. Because if you don't remember, it's that last piece of cake that you're eating when you finally remember, oh my Lord, I said I'm not gonna eat all this sweet stuff no more. Because you didn't allow yourself to remember that, hey, I'm on the diet. So remember this is important.
I love that, Pastor Archie. And so that's another key, and is to remember. But if you go, and I think it's in I forgot the book of the Bible that it's in, and I'm going to go to you, Brother Corey. It talks about write a plan, make it plain, put it up high so everybody can see it. So who's everybody that's looking at that plan that you've written? It's yourself. So therefore you write your plans down. So that's another key to success. You write your plans down so you can remember what you said you were going to do, and you putting it high. What does that high mean? You're putting in your consciousness so that, once you have it written down, you can go back to it and listen to it. Read it and see what you said you were going to do. So that's another key, Pastor Archie, that you just mentioned, is remembering. But how can you remember when you got so much other stuff? You make a plan, make it plain, put it high in your consciousness. Brother Corey. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody. I know I'm a little late, but I do want to put my little 2 cents in really quick. I absolutely agree with everything that you guys are saying, and I also would like to add that that in order to be faced with reality, I feel that we, like you said, we must focus on ourselves, right? So in a point in time, no matter how old you are, we have to kind of let go of the world a little bit and kind of focus on ourselves. Self comes first, and once you start, focusing on yourself and starting manifesting things that are good for you, things will naturally start to change around you the way that you want them to. That's all I have to say.
That is another key. You're absolutely right. You cannot change anything on the outside of yourself until you change yourself from the inside. And that's what a lot of people, we don't think about that. We think about, oh, I got to change this system and I need to change that system. But you got to remember, we are mirroring. Think about it. So we can't forget what we learned, guys, as we've been going through SRC. We got to remember that the things that we're seeing in our world is a mirror. It's a reflection of what we've been focusing on and thinking about. So we got to remember that in order to change anything, and I love the way you put that, Corey, that's absolutely true. You must change from the inside first. And then when you change from the inside, guess what? Everything around you going to change. Even the things that you didn't want to see anymore, they may still exist somewhere, but not in your world. Kashina, I see that your hand is up.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Yes, I want to chime in with this too. And I like the fact that our sister Kina stated discipline. Woo, discipline. That's a big one for me. Just being disciplined. If you set out something like Mom just said, write it down, put it in your higher conscience. And you got to have that discipline. And we all say we're going to do this and we're going to do that and we're going to make this happen. We're going to think about this and we're going to think about that. But who's really disciplined to keep it going, to constantly saying, okay, this is where I am. This is where I want to be. How do I get there? Keep talking about it, keep writing about it. What actions are you putting forth to get to that point? And that is something I had to learn as an adult, as if I said to myself, okay, I have a kid that takes me to another level sometime. I'm gonna put it like that because he is so energetic. But I have to learn how to be, I'm learning how to kind of slow it down, see what's really going on in the core before I jump and react. And I'll say this, I'll say, okay, I'm not gonna say nothing now. I'm gonna see where this goes. I say it, but then as soon as something happens, I jump and I go the other direction because I'm not disciplining myself to say, okay, if I say I'm gonna do this, I need to stay with it, be consistent in doing what I say I want to visualize, what I want to see, what I want to see this child do. So that one is a big one for me. And if anybody else is listening, I know everyone has been through that when it comes to disciplining yourself and doing things that you say you're going to do and set out to do those things and work towards those things.
That's right. Thank you. So that's another key there. And that's Kashina shared some of her experience based on not being disciplined, and then saying, hey, I know I need to be more disciplined if I want to have success. If I want to create those things in my reality that I want, I need to be more disciplined. And Brother Lavelle talked about health also. It said that, we need to, because let's think about this. You get everything that you want in life, but yet your health is not there. So, how many people have gotten gym memberships and everything, and we say we're going to go, and then we don't do it that often. So we need to make sure that's part of discipline. It's not about just monetary success. It's about that too. But success means a lot more success in your body and in your mind. And when your mind is healthy, then guess what? You can manifest a lot more. You can see more clear when your mind and your body, your physical body is healthy. Pastor Archie, you had your hand up, and then we'll go back to you, Kashina, because I see your hand is still up.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Y'all reminded me of me back when I was a Navy counselor in the Navy. And one morning, my senior chief opened my eyes up to something that was so simple right there in front of me, but I never realized I was always overwhelmed as a command career counselor with all these interviews and all this stuff I had to do. And when I get in the office, all of a sudden I'm just messed up because I'm not sober minded that morning. And it's not because I drank alcohol, but it was because I had all these things going on in my mind that was, I'm trying to grab one and do this. And he said, you need to sit down, take a piece of paper, and prioritize everything on that paper. Start with number one. And the most important thing that you need to do that day, that's what you start out with that day. Don't try to mix everything in because we're worrying about this one, worrying about that one, trying to figure out this child problem over here, this grandchild problem over there. Prioritize what you were trying to accomplish for that day and work your way down. I don't care what the number 9 is jumping off the table. But if number 9 is not up there where your 1 is at, you'll get to number 9. So we have to just be consistent, yes, and discipline ourselves with our list that we have put together and work our way down. That way, it cleared for me. That cleared my mind. I was no longer overwhelmed when I got in the office. I already knew if I had something left over from the day, I would work on that first thing the next day.
Great. So key, so that's another key. So key, we talked about that one. We're going to go to Brother Thomas, then we're going to come back to Corey. And that is to write those things down. So one of the practices that I do is at night, before I go to bed, I kind of write down those things that I want to, that I will, that I will accomplish the next day. And if I don't get to all of them, then they go on the list at night. So therefore you write. So writing them down the day, for me, I write them down the night before so I don't have to get up in the morning, because when you wake up in the morning, the first thing that happens, everything crowds your mind. Everything that wants to worry you, everything that you might didn't do, everything crowds your mind. But you know what I can do? I can go into my meditation because I already know what's on my list, a list of things to do. Brother Mark Thomas.
Hi, yeah, good morning, everybody. I loved your presentation, Brother Lavelle. A few things really struck me when you talked about the crazy box, and and that's just an example of how our lives get cluttered, and you just lose sight of things because there's just so much junk that can end up in your life. And you just got, to me, you have to simplify that. You have to, because you're not going to recognize the things that are important if you've got so many things that aren't important in your life. And that also causes us to just turn the page. We turn the page on each other too quick. We disassociate ourselves from each other in a way because of that. So, and the other thing that really struck me about a part of your presentation there, brother, was about the how we all breathe the same air, and that air is, and we are of God, and the air is God, and we need to treat ourselves that way. You know, we're not just things. We're not just things you can discard or forget about, you know, in the next second. You have to treat each other like we are all gods, truly. Yes, so yeah, really love your presentation, brother. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And there's another key that Brother Mark Thomas just mentioned, is remembering what's important. What is important to you? What is important? You know, that is so, that's important, is remembering what's important. Brother Corey.
Okay. To add to that, I like to think of life as let's say like a buffet table, right? A long buffet table. We all been to Golden Corral or something like that. There's things that this is both physical and mental as well. So there are things that we put into our body that we don't need, and there's things that we do need, and I believe that should come first. So I feel like we should associate that with everything. And that's as far as reading, getting up early in the morning to do what you have to do, even working out. Just take everything a step at a time, eat one thing at a time, and eat things that are good for your body and your mind. And that's both, like I said, both mental and physical. Because your body and your mind work together as one big thing, and I feel like we should treat life the same way. There are things in your life that'll help your body and your mind all together.
I love that. I love that, Brother Corey. And I love what you said about the buffet table, because that's what life is like. When you go and you look at this in this world, all the things that's going on, you can choose what you want to get off the buffet. Why are you going to get frog legs from the buffet if you don't like frog legs, and put them on your plate and sit down to the table and complain the whole time that you hate frog legs, but yet you chose those frog legs from the buffet? Or, so that's how life is. Why, as our brother Rouser said, that the TV, the tube, the media, why are we choosing to watch those things that don't serve us? Why are we choosing to do that? We say, well, we got to stay up with the news. Well, if you can watch those things and not bury yourself in those experiences, then that's great. But if you can't do that, and you're going to take that experience with you all day long, and you're going to be worried, and then not only you're going to worry yourself, you're going to call other people and talk to them about it and get them all up about it, then you won't need to do that. You need to not look at those kinds of things that is going to cause you to not to be conscious of the things you want. Focus. That is one of the keys. Brother Lavelle, is there anything else you want to share on this? Because I know that there's so much more, because you talked about the emotional energy, you talked about hope, you talked about health, and you talked about love. And I'll tell you something, love is one of the because if we really could channel into love the way we need to, wrap ourselves around love, vibrate the love the way we need to, you wouldn't even see war, would you? How can anybody just kill as many people as we see right now if love existed? It just wouldn't happen. Brother Lavelle.
Yes, thank you, Anala. That's so true. One thing that I'd like to add on the health piece is that scientists, physiologists, doctors, metaphysicians, they all know that the disease of the body, sickness, illness, it starts from our emotions. This is probably one of the biggest truths that's not being fully suggested nor told to the masses of the people, that it's important to get your feelings, your emotions in order, in balance. It's far too much that we leave the house, we jump in our cars, we drive erratically, we drive crazy. And when I see that happening, I say that person's having a heavy emotional day. So I try to stay out of their way whenever I'm on the interstate, especially. But it's our emotions. It's our emotions that is affecting our physical health.
That's right.
This is a known medical fact.
That's right. That's right. And then when you think about it, just reflect back just for a second of people that you've met. I've met women and men that they were so bitter about what happened with their spouses or their lover or whatever, that as they get older, they just get sicker and sicker. Things start to happen to them. Why? It's that all that emotion that they've built up. Hell, and you people talking about something, you bring baggage into a relationship. What you're bringing is that emotional baggage into a relationship. But it's not a relationship because the other person that you're dealing with, you're not giving it to them. It's that your own relationship with yourself when you're bringing that baggage in, and that is causing the sickness. In fact, if you Brother Lavelle, I'm so glad that you mentioned that. That is another key, is making sure that you're not bringing that baggage in, that negativity, that emotionalness within yourself. It's not the world, it's you. And when you go and do some research, you'll find that a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people that have cancer is a result of that emotion, those negative emotions, that heaviness that you just keep down inside of you. Sometimes people don't even see it because you have covered it up so well. you smiling and all this, but deep down inside, you got a lot of stuff going on, turmoil, the tornadoes going on within you. And nobody can, but you know, but nobody else can see it because you put on that makeup, that smile. So Sister Kina, what do you want to?
Yes, two things quickly. Then I want to read Brother Victor's message from the chat. First, definitely thank you, Brother Lavelle, for what you shared at the beginning. It was so much in there that I was excited about unpacking. My life path number is the number 6. My family member that we prayed for in a previous episode, his life path is the number 6. So I was really excited about diving into talking about this, about the numbers, but I'm sure we will at another time. But yes, the keys to manifestation, I wanted to also say something someone there shared that made me think about this too. Once you really get to know yourself, right, and discover who you are, at least for me, once I really did that, there was a lot of things that I thought I wanted to manifest that I didn't really have a desire for anymore. So once you really learn who you are and discover yourself and do your shadow work and go within and love yourself, you'll find, many of you may be able to relate to this, you'll find that a lot of those things you thought you wanted to pray and manifest and that you thought you needed to make your life great, you really don't have a desire for those things anymore sometimes. And lastly, Victor shared a comment in the chat, and Victor stated, yes, if there are many unnecessary thoughts going through the mind, then there won't be any manifestation. So that's another good point from Brother Victor.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You're right, because think about this. You, even in, I think the book of James saying that an unstable mind, can't get anything. So, how do your subconscious know what to give you when you are like this? You're like, oh yeah, I want this. Oh, I don't want that. You got all this stuff going on. So you know what? Your subconscious is just going to sit there and go, okay, when you figure it out, you let me know, because I'm not getting ready to go through all this. Just think about, Kashina, think about, what you talk about your young child now, when it's all like this, you just say, hey, you take a time out until you figure it out. And that's the same way our body, that's what nature, that's what the universe is telling us, guys. If we don't know what we want, how in the world we expect our subconscious, the universe, to give it to us? Because you are like this. You were tossed by every wind. And that's what I think Brother Victor is talking about, being tossed around by every wind that comes in. Kashina, did we have anything else from the audience?
Yes. Well, no, I think there were no more comments that I can see, but I do have a question. I want to piggyback on something that I think Uncle Archie stated. He was talking about prioritizing and writing down, your day and what you're the most important to the least important. So I want to kind of ask a question on that note, because I try to do that when it comes to my work-related titles or jobs. I'll write down, okay, this is what I need to work on. This is what I need to work on, whatever. But what happens when you write this stuff down, you go to your management meeting, and everything gets turned around? Well, we can't work on this. We need to be prior. We need to be working on this or working on that. So it kind of messes up your flow of what you started out to do that you thought was important, to when someone comes in and kind of like turns that prioritized organization upside down. How do you get back mentally to start saying, okay, well, I need to start this and then I can go back? How do you do that? Because it's kind of like, for me, it kind of messes me up, because I set out to do one thing, but someone mixes it up and stirs it and shakes it up to where now I can't even get back focused to what I started out to do. So what do you do? This for the whole
when you think about that, and then I'll let the rest of the panel chime in on this. But for me, I always go back to I look at scripture, because even though we know that the Bible was manipulated, there's so much information in there that can help you, to guide you. So for example, we think about when the person named Jesus in the story was on his way to another place, and then someone said, hey, I need you to heal me. What? So that stopped. He didn't let his ego get involved in that. He kind of stopped and dealt with what was in front of him. So sometimes what happens is our ego. So that's another key. We cannot allow ego to get in the way of what needs to be done, because sometimes the world works like that. It just changes. And so what happens, and I know, and I'm talking about myself, because my ego go like, wait a minute, we said we're going to do this. Now you want to do this. well, okay, but if it's my own business that I'm operating, then I can choose what reality is going to come first. But if I'm working for someone else, then they're going to have some input on what needs to be priority. And we should not allow our egos to get in the way of that. What we do is say, okay, I'll readjust my list, and that's okay. But I know that, especially me, I'm a Leo. So sometimes I get that egotism thing going on. So we want to be careful not to do that. And that is another key to manifesting your reality. Don't let the ego, they say the ASS, but don't let the ego get in the way. So that's what I would say. Corey has his hand up. And then I saw another hand too.
Hi, Mom, to piggyback on, to answer kind of what you was asking. So Uncle Archie, I'm pretty sure you can attest to this as well. In the military, you got to kind of like, we had to kind of always think on the fly, and I always preset it in my mind to have a backup plan, because I already know for a fact things are never going to go how I plan them, ever. Even if I plan a vacation, even if I was planning to do a simple job, and it's something as simple as like putting a nail in the board, something can always turn any which way. So what I do, I always come up with a backup plan, and a backup plan to that backup plan. And then on top of that, just have it preset in your mind, like, hey, this may not go the way that you think. And that's okay, because things ain't always gonna go the way that we want them to. Because it's almost like the universe's way of saying, like, hey, I want you to think a little more outside the box, because everything ain't gonna be like off of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had to learn that like a good little ways through life, and then that's perfectly okay. It's gonna make you a better thinker, if anything, in the future.
I love that. I love that. So Corey just said one of the keys to manifesting our reality is have a backup plan. I know people that says, I'm gonna do this when you're growing up, you're gonna be a model, you're gonna do all this with no backup plan. And then you get stuck because it didn't work out that way. So you're absolutely right. Pastor Archie, and then we'll go to you, Keena.
Yeah. I did have my hand up, but you hit it on the head. You hit it right on the head, because based on who you work for, if it's your job or someone else's job, those priorities can change during the day, even though you have set a list of what it is that you need to do first. If you're working for the government, that number one may now become number 3. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to move things around, and you'll still have your list, but now that number 1 priority has changed. So you got to be flexible and be able to change with the flow. If you're working for someone else, and as you said, if you're working for yourself, you can decide yourself, oh, do I need to jump on this right away, or do I need to put that on my list for tomorrow?
That's right. And at the same time, we want to make sure, even when you're working for yourself, you don't want to get, as I think somebody said earlier, procrastinate, because you can procrastinate yourself and never get anything done when you're working for yourself as well. Sister Keena, and then we're going to go, because we're almost out of time. So we want to go to one of our sisters on here today, Denise Rubin, who is going to talk about the Women on the Rise, who are my sisters in what we do in doing some good work in the community. So I want her to be able to get on and talk. But first, let's go to Keena.
3 quick things. One last thing about manifesting I want to share with the audience is you, and these are some of my favorite things. But one is, you are the most important person in your life. And the last 2 points I want to share with Tashina as a response to your question, and this is something that I personally in my life, trust the flow of your life. Sometimes you push, sometimes you pull, but sometimes you have to trust the flow of things. And when things flow, sometimes they don't necessarily go the way we want them to, but be able to find peace in the flow of your life. And lastly, oh goodness, it may come back to me. I lost the thought. Go ahead.
That's okay. But I love that. Trust the flow. You're trusting the flow. You have trust in the universe.
Yeah. And it came back to me. Trust that all things are unfolding as it should. That's something I keep in my life. All things are unfolding as it should.
I love that. So another key to manifesting in reality is when it doesn't look right. That's what I'm hearing you say, my sister. When it doesn't appear to be right, just trust that all things are working together for the good, right? Of those who love God and yourself. I love that. Brother
Like you
Mark,
said,
I saw your hand up.
you said the ego thing, and that's my main. Shut the ego up so I can understand the flow. I got you. Here.
Brother Mark Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, just to follow on what Keena was talking about there with allowing things to flow through your life. I kind of got a question in that regard for Brother Lavelle about numerology is, real basic question just for the audience and everybody is, you speak of vibrations and the numbers of each vibration. How or why or where do these vibrations emanate? And how do we become more aware of them?
Okay, the vibrations actually emanate from the heavens, from the stars and the planets. And these vibrations, they're all around us. I mean, the way that we breathe represents a particular vibration, which make me subtly different from the way that you may speak or breathe or walk or talk. These are all emanation that comes from originally come from the heavens. And it also is found all throughout nature. If you were to go into the woods and just listen to the water that's flowing in a river in the middle of a forest, you could detect something about that. And that's what people of old, ancient people of old, did to determine. All of your great thinkers, your philosophers, they all went into nature and studied nature for a very, very long time to determine these outcomes and these vibrations. And I have to say that they're quite accurate in detail. So the time that we're born represents a particular vibration that we have that would be different from the time that I was born.
That's right. I love that. So
You're speaking my language there for sure.
So
love
really,
that.
So what you're saying, Brother Lavelle, is that one of the keys, another key to manifesting reality is getting in tune with nature, getting in tune with the things around you. And that means also going on some hikes, going in nature, but also meditating. I'm finding that the more I meditate, the more I want to meditate. And the more I meditate, the more I get clear answers to what I should be doing next. So I think that is so good. And we're not, this topic, I love it, manifesting reality, talking about that. We've listed a lot of things. I hope you guys have been keeping notes about some of the things we mentioned today of how you manifest reality. Oh, yay, good. So with that being said, I want to first, I know we're out of time, but I do want to go through a round robin before we allow our sister, Denise, please get ready to unmute yourself and get ready to come on if you are there. So we're going to do a quick round robin briefly about what you want to leave, that one thing you want to leave with our audience about manifesting reality. And then we're going to have Denise come on. So I need you to unmute, Denise, so that I know you are ready. And let's start with, let's go to Pastor Archie.
Okay. What I would like to leave is words of power. Words of power. Words can be powerful. As we're stating here, the different keys to ways to manifest things in our life. Word mantras. As you focus and meditate, we if anyone familiar with yoga, there are mantras, there are words of power that you use. Be aware of the words that you use throughout the day.
Thank you very much for that. And Sister Kashina, what do you want? You want to leave something briefly with our audience today?
Briefly, I like that. I would say consistency. I have to steal yours, Keena. Consistency is so important, as well as prioritize. It's so important.
Thank you so much for that. Sister Keena.
Thank you, covered it all. I'm just glad. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad we're having this conversation. Share the video with your family and friends. This is vital. This is information that people pay a lot of money for. And I hope everyone is able to recognize the value that SRC is bringing. So thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you. And Brother Rouser?
Yes, just keep in mind as we travel through this year of the number 6, that we are all responsible for teaching each other.
All right, I love that. We're all responsible for teaching each other. I love that. And Brother Thomas, and then we're going to go to Denise, if you are on, Denise. Go ahead, Brother Thomas.
But yeah, SRC is so important to me. Our importance lies in just our just relaying to our membership that we don't adhere to any doctrine. That we just think that to find yourself, you need to discover yourself. That's the main thing I've got. Thank you.
I love that. So now we're going to bring on, I see my sister Denise is on the scene, and she is I work with her with the Women on the Rise, and that's an excellent organization. So let me let Denise talk about what's going on.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Great conversation. Yes, I am organizer with Women on the Rise. We out in the community empowering and uplifting and grabbing the community and giving them exactly what you all are speaking about on this live today. And like you said, yeah, we are responsible for teaching each other and uplifting each other. So that's what we do. We are an organization composed of formerly incarcerated women of color, and we go into the community and we uplift and we empower and we try to make sure that the community, that our people have all the resources that they need to be the best version of themselves that they can be. And so we're always looking to have good folk like you all to join and support us, and so you can educate these folks and so they can have the same knowledge and be able to be the best versions of themselves that they can be. I appreciate y'all's conversation today. This weekend, March 26th, we're having a Women's History Month celebration luncheon where Miss Anala V will be speaking, and we welcome you all to come out and join us, and she will have the information for that. But we definitely need good folks with this good energy like you all have on our team to help, build the community. So I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Denise. Women on the Rise. It's a great organization, guys. I also want to just shout out to Victor Vies, all the way from Africa, Nigeria, which I found out that I am also from that region as well. So I'm thanking Victor for being with us today. And guys, I don't know if you've noticed our YouTube, but have you noticed that we are over 1,000? So that is a wonderful thing. Well, with that, I'm going to now pass it over to, because we are so out of time, but we're going to have this conversation again. We're going to talk some more about human connectivity, because all the things we were talking about today is about human connectivity. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Mark Thomas, because we are like way out of time, but when the conversation is good, it's just so hard to stop.
Yeah, that hour just flew for me. I don't know about everybody else, man. That was really a good show. Really loved it. All of us here at SRC want to thank the audience for attending today's presentation. We really appreciate your patronage and encourage you to email us your questions or comments at shiftingreligiousconcepts.com. Don't forget, this presentation will be available on YouTube really soon, within the next few days. And even if you didn't attend today's program, please go to Shifting Religious Concepts channel and give us a thumbs up and register. This is one of the few ways we get public attention. It really helps us to promote the SRC mission. If you're not subscribed to our newsletter, go to shiftingreligiousconcepts.com/registration and join us. So our next presentation will be on Sunday, April 3rd. So we're not going to be here next week. We're going to skip a week and go to April 3rd at 10 o'clock Eastern. So please join us then. Please join us. It's great to have a great audience. I think it inspires everybody. On the power. Next show will be again on the power of human connectivity. So until then, we wish you all peace, health, wisdom, and love, of course.